Well, it's a cloudy day out here, just starting to rain, but it's been a year since we took a look at the garden, so we'll take a quick look. This year I really cut back on vegetables because it's just my wife and I, and we end up giving it all away. But we'll start over here with the cabbages and broccoli and interspersed lettuce. Last time I talked about the garlic, and this year I'm going to have some interesting results. You remember we planted the bulbils and we get what looks like grass here, and then that is harvested as small rounds. Subsequent year is planted and we get these small miniature garlics, which end up giving me almost universally last year they were bulbs with 4 good size cloves, which was great for drying. But then I took these and planted them, and I'm going to skip back here to the planting of garlic and show you what I got out of it, which is maybe later when the harvest comes I can line them all up, the bulbil, the first year, the second year, and the fourth year. But this bed right here that I'm looking at, you look down, it's mature bulbs, all gotten from last year's second year planting, so this is the third year. These are the mother plants that they came from, and it's very difficult to see any difference. There is a slight one, and I think the fourth year will be when the payoff comes, when they will all be full size. This year I've got 8 varieties in, probably about 2,500 plants. It's a lot of garlic, but I'm going to sell it this year, maybe help pay for the water bill, because I'm on town water and I have to do a lot of irrigation with these raised beds, although I love them. These are the Enchelium Reds, which are the only soft-neck ones I have. They're my favorite of the soft-necks, and these are braidable, so I'm going to do a lot of braiding this year and sell them as braids. Then I have the Chestnut Red, which I had last year. This is the rest of the garlic is all hardneck, but these are unlike the porcelain. There's maybe a dozen cloves, smaller cloves, but they're wonderful for roasting. They're a great roaster. These are the ones I call co-op, because 4 years ago when I started buying, I was late in the season looking for seed and couldn't find any. Ended up finding a co-op that had, I think, 3 or 4 bulbs, and those I planted, and 3 years later I now have 3 full beds of them, which is for the 16, that's 1,200 plants, plus all of the younger ones that I showed you to begin with. So you can really increase your number of plants in a big hurry if you plant those bulbils. Takes a few years. These are my favorites, which are German white. They're huge, stiff necks with about 6 large cloves, very hardy. And these are a close cousin called Music, which are also wonderful garlic. Let's see, Leningrad I had last year. These are a smaller stiff neck and a more pungent flavor. My big disappointment of the year was I really want to grow some Spanish Roja, which are really wonderful. And what the heck happened to these, I don't know, but I'm not going to pamper them. They'll either make it or they won't. But one thing happened is I planted around the 15th of October, and these things came right up through the mulch. Got about maybe a 3 or 4 inch top to them, and of course died off in the winter. In the spring, they managed to rejuvenate themselves, but they're very weak and spindly looking, laying down. It's an experiment. We'll see what happens. Georgian Fire, a small batch here. I bought seed last fall. Try a new variety. That's another Russian or from the Caucasus. And Persian Star is another one, which is a purple stripe, like the ones I mentioned earlier that are great for roasting. Anyway, we'll see what happens with the garlic this year. It's now, what, the 8th of June, which means they'll all be harvested in a month. The escapes are coming on nicely. I picked a bunch today to try them. Pick one up and show you. These are ideal stage to pick them. They're really tender. You can make, you can roast them or grill them. A lot of people make pesto with them. It's supposed to be delicious. But anyway, we're going to try them. Then I got the usual standbys. Kale, everybody loves kale. And my onion beds. Last year I had a problem with the onions with the fly that lays the onion maggot. And I suspect that's what happened because it's pretty spotty. The ones that survived are doing well. And peas, string beans, carrots, beets down that end. My old strawberry bed, which I'm going to dig up when it bears, that's why I'll just let it go. It was planted 4 years ago when I started the garden, so the ground is not that hot. So I'm going to let it bear, save some plants for new planting, and start over there. Now if I can swing around to the new beds that I put in, we got cauliflower there. The woodchucks got into that, but they haven't come back. This year I've changed my way of doing tomatoes because of the blight we have in this area. I'm putting them in a single row on my standard reusable trellises so that they get lots of sun and lots of air, and hopefully that's going to take care of the blight problem. They're all really good looking, healthy plants, and some tomatoes already, so for our area that's not bad. And this is my new strawberry bed, which I'm going to do a new system. The plants are planted, hopefully, 16 to 18 inches apart on a grid, equidistant. And I'm not going to allow any runners whatsoever. And I've been reading up on this method. There's a name for it that I can't recall. And what you get is large, luxurious plants with large berries. You can cultivate around the plants, keep the weeds down, and then you mulch them. And for further water and water retention and weed control. Anyway, I'm going to give it a try, and back in the corner there, in the unplanted area, I'm going to put some of my sparkles from the old bed and do the same thing. And these are my blueberries I put in last year. This is their second year. I'm letting them bear this year. I've got, let's see, I got a dozen plants and 1, 2, 4. Can't remember. I think I got eight varieties. Anyway, the one I'm really interested in is in the darrow, and I'm going to try to get in close up. I'm not very good with this camera, but huge clusters of berries in its second year, and this is just a 2-year-old bush. Anyway, that interests me. My blackberries here suffered about I would say 80 to 90% dieback over the winter, which is, I don't know, I'm almost lost a huge climbing rose on the house. A lot of brambles winter killed this year, and I'm not sure why. Anyway, the growth you see there is almost all of it new growth, which will bear next year, so I don't expect many blackberries this year. Raspberries are about to blossom. 2 different varieties, they're doing well. And here's the rest of my blueberries. The other ones are mulched in wood chips, and these are mulched deeply with leaves. I'm going to cover these with wood chips and go to the wood chips. But it's a really heavy mulch, and in the driest weather you reach down through it, and there's plenty of moisture, so they look healthy, and I'm hoping that's going to work. I swing around. The last couple of months I've been doing a lot of work on the house, and everything's gotten behind here, and especially my leaves, which are vital, which are a integral part of my gardening. I love leaves, but it takes a lot of work. I grind them, I mix them with either coffee grounds or fresh lawn clippings and compost them, and they make, everybody knows leaf mold is one of the best things you can put in the garden. It's also my base bedding for my earthworms, which are getting out of hand now. I got to get rid of some. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of worms I have on the property. That's that little bin over there is a new above ground worm bin, and there's the in-ground worm bin that I had last year. This is some new structures I put up to help with storing all of the stuff I'm accumulating out of the rain. And now we'll go over to what used to be my squash patch or vine patch. I didn't put any vines in this year. We don't eat that much of it, and decided to leave it and just work it. It's the newest ground, so I put my spuds over here. This is Yukon Gold, which is hopefully will start blossoming shortly, so I can get the early potatoes, which is really the ones I'm interested in, those ones you steal out of the hills. So instead of putting them in beds as I did last year, I went back to traditional row cropping and hilling. These are two varieties of Brussels sprouts coming up. And then a lady who's a friend of mine gave me some seed for what she said was a great Roma-style tomato, so I put a bunch of those in. More potatoes, Chieftain, a red potato, and Superior, which is one of my old standbys. And a second planting of string beans, yellow and green. So that's about it for the year. Over there's the comfrey that really should be harvested and used in the compost or put under mulch. It's a great miner of the soil. The roots go down, oh my goodness, 12 feet, and bring up all kinds of trace minerals. So there you have it. Another huge pile of leaves that needs to be turned and wet and handled. So there you have it. Another quick look. As soon as when I harvest the garlic, I hope I'm able to can remember to do a short one on the garlic, going from bulbils to full-grown plants. I'll line up the bulbil, the first year, second year, third year, and you can see how quickly you can go from a 2-foot bed to that. I mean, last year I had 2 beds. And now I have 6 large beds, and all of this is coming. Oh, here's some more. This bed hasn't been hit by the onion maggot, and they're doing well. That's the large white onions and the red onions. But each of these little 12-foot beds has 275 plants in it, and those are the second-year garlic. And I'm going to be amazed at what these scipes are tiny. They're probably the most tastiest scipes you could find. Anyway, I'm not going to hold this any longer and bore you anymore, but just a quick look. My rhubarb, planted it last year, sort of looked pretty peaked, and late in the year it looked like it died back, and this year it came back in gangbusters. And now that the strawberries are coming in, that's the only thing I really like to eat rhubarb with is strawberries. So there we go. Ta-ta.